The following video was presented by Audience on Demand, programmatic advertising from Publicis Media. Find out more on audienceondemand.de.
All right. We just decided before the talk that I'll talk in English, so welcome to Berlin, welcome to Germany, and you'll be excited to hear lots of German accents today, starting with mine. Hope it's fine for you guys. And I'm talking about central audience intelligence, which is basically picking up some of the stuff which Frank just said. It's not focusing on pushing around some pixels. It's not super tech. It's a keynote, it's a start into the day, so I'm trying to wake you guys up. I'm usually pretty awake really early, so trying to get you energized and talking about this. Since I'm a PhD, I tend to start with some definitions, and I tend to start with a clicker, which is working, but not right now. Now it's working? Perfect. Okay, so back in the 60s, there was the good old 4P. How do we approach marketing? So we talked about product, about promotion. It's difficult if the clicker is not really clicking. About price, and about place. Super old. The consumer was not in focus. What was in focus was the product and the brand itself. In the 90s, and this is academic, it always takes some time until this reaches reality. In the 90s, we changed that at least a little bit. Maybe we have to switch to a clicking here. So it's consumer, it's communication as a dialogue, it is cost, and it's convenience. What's here in the focus is not the brand and the product itself, it's the client. Of course, this is just theory, but what happens in reality? And this is something we've been observing for ages now. The client is important. We're collecting data everywhere, and so we checked some statistics. 90% of all marketeers says that they want to move beyond segmentation. They want to go into one-on-one marketing, which is now connected to something what Frank said. For one-on-one marketing, you need to double opt-in, at least in Germany, so it's a little bit difficult, but let's not dive into the details. The segment of one, something that Amazon invented, is the, let's say, holy grail of how we want to push relevant messages to consumers. At the same time, maybe I'm standing a bit better over here. 70% believe in the data-driven approach. So how are we going to do that? We are going to use data. We're going to use it everywhere. And of course, where do we use it? So is that just about targeting? Is that about media, owned media, rented media, paid media? Is it just about analytics or messaging, about product development? Of course, it's about both. You need to have data-driven products. There is not a one-size-fits-all. You need to have data-driven messaging. Yes, retargeting is one thing, but this is just lower funnel retargeting. You also need it in prospecting. You need it on your site. You need it in your emails. You need it everywhere. And if you don't do that, people might be confused or even a little bit annoyed. I'll show some examples for that later on. Okay, so next part. Super easy, and we just heard that the world is a global touch point. Of course, it's not one touch point, it's billions and trillions of touch points. It works when I'm standing here, so I'm doing it like that. And data is everywhere. It's across devices. And most importantly, it's what I said, if you have it, use it. People know that you have it. They see that you track. They talk about it. Magazines talk about it. It's written everywhere. So people are aware that we are collecting data, and they expect to get some services. So if you don't give them services, you might have a problem down the road. Maybe not today, but I think pretty soon. So how does that look in reality? As I said, if you know something about people and you ignore that, that might be something you shouldn't do. So for instance, if you take a look into the food section, there are those people, vegans, lots of them, getting more. It's more than a trend. So if you offer a schnitzel to a guy who's vegan, might not be so funny. I don't know if you have any discussions about using the same plates or pans with vegans and vegetarians compared to like meat lovers. It's crazy. So people really are careful with that. So some people eat fast food, some people eat, well, you know what's going on. You got the paleo diet, crazy people, and of course, you got the people that just eat sweets. Not myself, but I can imagine that some people do that. So if you offer the wrong product or the wrong communication to people who have explicitly claimed, I am vegan, and you offer them the wrong product, you can easily imagine that this is not going to be something that is accepted. It's something where people are annoyed and said, why are you talking to me like that? So at the end, I'm getting into an example. And of course, it's just an example. We did some research. I looked at lots of sites during the last 12 months or 18 months, and we have examples from finance, from automotive, from travel, fashion, retail, insurance. I missed probably a couple of things, but basically we looked at lots of industries in the last years, and we saw that data is not, well, it is collected holistically, so everyone is collecting everywhere. You got the pixels, you push them around. I actually had a site last year that had 100 pixels that were firing at the same time. Well, the site was pretty slow, but that's the one thing. So user experience was shit. But more importantly, no one knew when these pixels were fired, why they were fired, and who was actually getting the data from it. If you can build a holistic user experience based on 100 pixel firing in a totally uncontrolled fashion, not sure about that, but even if you have just a few pixels, most people still think and communicate in silos and don't personalize in a way that they should. So I brought one example, which we did last year, and it's the brand Nivea. So it's, as I said, this is just an example. I could do the same for automotive. There I did it for Nissan, and I think we also did it for Mazda. We could do it in let's say, basically everything I mentioned. So if anyone's interested, we can talk about more examples after the talk. So what can you do? You go onto a site and you search. This is strong intent. People know I'm looking for Nivea. Why am I looking for Nivea? Because I'm interested in products, of course. So Google shows me those products. Super fine. At the end, there's Nivea Men. They might know, or they do know, because I'm a heavy Google user, that I'm male. So that's super fine. But actually, it's not really customized to my needs. And you can do that on search. If I look for another search, it's like Nivea Razor. Yeah, still, of course, it's for guys, but it's not really for guys. So it's Nivea für Dame, eine hautschonende Rasur mit Nivea. Super, super nice, probably 90% of their revenues, but they know that I'm a guy and I'm not going to buy a razor for my wife. So why do they do that? I don't know. Next part, I'm looking for shaving gel, same thing again. It's not explicitly targeted to male people. And we're not talking about microsegments. We're talking about male, female. That's the easiest segment there is. It's super easy. It's different products, it's different communication. You can do that already on Google. What happens now if I go into the site? Well, it's the animation. They should know I'm male. Ich bin ein Mann. You see it on my hair. Women don't usually lose that much hair. Big question is, if you don't have content for guys, you shouldn't personalize, of course. But Nivea does have content for guys. So there's yogis standing there, alle zusammen. It's about soccer. Of course, it's not male anymore. It's for everyone. Soccer is super popular. But still, it's special content for guys. So you should have been able to also do paid media campaigns that focus on that kind of stuff if you just search for the brand and not for shaving gel, which is way more specific and way stronger intent. So there is content, and you could do campaigns that use male content. Now they got that nice thing, and that's basically check all the sites that have that little interaction bar here on top. How can we help you? So I'll tell them, I'll let them know. How can you help me? Well, first of all, I didn't tell them, I checked, because otherwise it wouldn't have been a good idea. Here you can see what they have on their site. It's Google stuff, and it's Optimizely. So they can track basically everything. It's sufficient to have just one tag installed. You can distribute it into the back end. So that's a really nice, smooth, and elegant tracking setup. Not 100 pixels, and there's Optimizely on site. Optimizely is a tool for personalization of websites. So that gave me the gut feeling, great, I'm leaving some data traces, and I'm getting service, personalized communication, just for me. But what happens if I do it? So I'll go into that communication interface. What kind of products are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for stuff for male people, so I'm a man. Again, I'm stating that. Seems to be difficult to understand. I'm looking for something to shave, and I'm looking for something for my non-sensitive skin, because I'm a tough guy. So they should know, tough guy, shaving, male. What happens? I'll get products. At the end, I get those products. When I tested it 4 weeks ago, I got about, 50 products. It was quite a lot. So I was not really supported in finding the right product for me. It was confusing. At the end, I checked it again this morning because I'm a very thorough guy. And this morning, I just got 4. Well, to keep it like this. So there is already improvement. These guys are working on it. That's good. It's really good to see. Well, but at the end, still 4. I didn't make any decisions, so I went away. Took some time to think. I was on my personal customer journey to buy a razor or whatever. Well, it's an artificial setup, you see that. But nevertheless, so what happens now? I'll come back a little later, and still working on the right distance here to the clicker. Comeback time, what happens? Searching again for Nivea. It's exactly the same. There's not a single link to the product I was looking for. It's not a shaver, it's not a tough guy message, nothing. So that's fine, because it might be a different silo. So same thing with retargeting, different silo, different messages. Makes sense? I don't know. Happens usually. So nothing here. So I went to the site where I talked to that, we could call it a chatbot almost. I talked to that chatbot. What happened? Nothing. There's still that campaign. That's an older campaign. It's not from today. Today is the soccer stuff on there. So, but still, same thing. It's not adapted to the data I left, to my personal trace of information, how they can help me to build a better, let's say, site and give me a better user experience here. Nothing there. So I said, well, there's that little, I can move a little bit. I tend to move usually when I talk. Now I'm standing here. There's that slider. So I checked out all the products they were offering, because maybe that's the campaign. But then when I start searching, there's more. Well, first thing I got is skin consultants. I got sensitive skin, I don't know. But next thing was body milk. Didn't ask for that. I really didn't, and I don't use body milk. Next thing I got was this one. Well, she's a super nice lady, but I didn't feel snookyful at that time. So it didn't also help me. Last thing, makeup remover. Really not my thing. I told the site I mail. So that is something where you leave traces, you don't get service. And you can imagine that some people that actually leave that and think there is a value they get back are super annoyed, because they tell, I mail, I want shaving products. Yeah, and of course I'm snookyful, but I don't want anything to do with that product that are being sold here. So what do we need to do? It's of course about synchronization. It's difficult to do that between marketing and marketing technology and advertising technology, but today there are pretty, let's say, smooth and simple solutions to do the first steps. Don't make it a huge corporate product. Don't think in 3-year cycles, but start doing it. If you know male, female, start communicating appropriately. And then drill down step by step. It's difficult, of course, because different departments and silos speak different, let's say, languages. You got different definitions, you got different, so some people are talking about personas, some people are talking about segments, some people are talking about audiences. But in the end, it's all the same. Not really 100%, but you should align on a common wording and on common KPIs that you can actually compare your performance of content marketing efforts with performance within performance marketing. Of course, you shouldn't do branding with performance KPIs, even if you do attribution, because that's not going to work. So you need a couple of KPIs, but not different ones everywhere, because otherwise, everyone is not comparable. So what does that mean? And that is something we're seeing as a trend. We're seeing it in pitches. It's something that we also try to push as part of our consulting efforts. There's that trend for automation. I'll call it programmatic automation. Programmatic is not just display. Programmatic is everything that uses data and rules and/or logical combinations to build your marketing. It's not about display, it's not about search, it's not about social. It's about a holistic approach to really communicate over the silos. So what can you do? You can use, of course, your data management platform to integrate all your data from all channels. First slide I showed about data collection, not a problem at all. It can really be done. So next thing, well, everyone knows that. It's not that easy to read. It's display and display retargeting. You can do it with a DSP. You can do it in classic ways. Not so hard to do. Super simple step. Use your DMP to integrate all the data you got. You can use it for website customization, personalization. As I just showed on those slides, it's about taking the message from your media communication and prolonging that to the site. Don't break the user experience. Don't break the communication and product flow which people are seeing. Same thing holds true for TV and video. So in-stream video, getting to smart TVs. It's there already. I think we just had a first campaign yesterday in, I think it was Germany even, that also started doing that kind of stuff. So it's not something that will not happen. It already is happening. Next thing is, of course, PPC and AdWords. You can use your data management platform, which collects data from everywhere, and push segments right into AdWords. Same definitions, same segments, everywhere. You can compare results. You can truly do customer journey analysis with that. Next thing is, I can't even read it, it's offline mail, even offline mail. So classic business processes can be aligned with digital things. So you have a touch point, you see that someone is researching, you know he doesn't react to email, so you send a letter. You can still do that. So print is not totally dead. And of course, all emails and classic mailings are also not dead. Use the right weapon for the right, let's say, reason here. Last but not least, social, of course, as I said, you can also push that kind of segments into social. You can take the data, push it back. And now the next thing we have to do is not thinking about pulling, so having the DMP in the middle and let the systems talk to the DMP and ask, hey, you got something for me. Build the rules as you have for retargeting and then push out the message. So there are 200 people interested in the product, push it to your email system, push it to your print center, whatever you want to do, and you need to do it via, whoops, that was too quick. You need to do it via API. No one is having a perfect solution, a one-size-fits-all. Every enterprise, every corporate, every advertiser and publisher is different. There will be no solution that is perfect. So if you buy a solution and think this will do it for you, you're on the wrong side. You need a product that is flexible, that can be tied into your integrations, that can be tied in by partners, by agencies, or by big integrators that build a custom solution for you. Full stack is a good solution. Of course, it's really good, but no one has a full stack that covers all of that. So you need to be flexible at the end. It's super, super important. Data privacy, super big topic. At the end, this is old stuff from the old cookie directive, but as we can see, it's not changing a bit, actually. It's still difficult. Safe harbor, privacy shield now. Is that safe? I don't know. We'll have to see. EU data protection, the new legislation, will be in effect 2018. It's super good for legal consultants because they can now consult, but they also don't know because it will be decided on courts, and you need to be safe, you need to evaluate the risks, but there is a gray area, and it will keep on being there for the next 2 years. E-privacy, new guideline coming out in autumn. If you are compliant with the data protection, the new legislation coming out, e-privacy is coming out. It's a special law. It supersedes that general law. So maybe you have to start over in autumn. So you have to be prepared. You have to spend time, get experts on this, and really, really try to solve this in the best manner you can do. What does that mean? Well, as I wrote an article yesterday, it's called Sicher ist nur, das nicht sicher ist. Everything is going to change. You need to have people that are experts in that. You need to select systems where you know what's happening, and you need to be in control of your data and about the data flows that are happening between your partners. So pushing pixels, please not with 100 partners. That's really not a good idea, because no one is knowing where the data will end up. So, but more importantly, felt privacy versus legal privacy. Well, maybe you're not breaking the law, but maybe you're annoying people a lot if you use all the targeting information you have in communication. So there needs to be added value. If it's just using every single detail you know from tracking systems, you know on social systems, use that as part of your communication. By the way, it's not even allowed everywhere, so publishers explicitly state don't do that. But still, if it happens, you have a big problem. No one cares about legal implications if your clients are super annoyed and think that you are Stasi, CIA, or whatever. So be careful in using that data appropriately. That's just another thing. It's about hashing. People talk about hashing, few understand it. To be honest, get some people involved that know how it works, set it up correctly, you can do it just quickly. If hashing is not really safe, if set up correctly, then we have a problem because the entire international finance system is using authentication methods based on hashing. So if hashing isn't safe, no one is going to care about your marketing data. Set it up correctly, get experts, but if that breaks, well, we have another problem, which is not happening, by the way, because it's safe. As I already said about services and usability, it's a quid pro quo. You offer, you get. You get data, you offer services. That's as easy as it gets, but you need to do it. So at the end, just a quick example how to do it a little bit better. That's a site from the US. I give in all that information. It's even more. Well, you know, my shade, my skin type, my primary concerns. I did all that, so like my makeup style. And at the end, I got one product. That's a recommendation. Take that one. That's the description. What else? You can save it, you can buy it. Oh, I log in because they give me offers later on. Yes, they will. I have it, I want it, that's super good. I get promotion codes, you get $3 off. I get information mails if that product is in stock, if there's a new version. That is something where I get value for giving all that information. That's a good example. So there are people doing it right, and all those other people are probably on a good way. As we can see, they have the technology already set up. But you should move that way, because at the end, the question is it too complex? And the only reason to answer that correctly is there needs to be a business case. So are we actually making money with all that stuff, or are we not? So we have to combine data from all sources with some intelligence and not going crazy corporate style in a 3-year project, but just starting, doing first step, and then drilling down from the top. And then develop those rules. At the end, there are multiple studies I've seen through the last years. It ranges between 15 to 40%. Large agency groups did it, and it's already out there. The cases are out there. People are doing it. They're doing it with cross-device. It is happening. Segmentation, personalization really brings an uplift, and it brings you relevancy to the user, and they will think that you care because you offer services they like. Is that all? And with that, I think we are about to be done. Of course it's not. So I'm not diving into that. All of that could be a different talk. Also what Frank said at the beginning, TV is going to be programmatic. Well, in-stream, not the broadcasting one first, but also the broadcasting will follow. There are some legal complications, but it will follow at some point. Programmatic venues with indoor navigations, push communications, offers where you are, how to come back, where your car should be parked, where's your seat, really using that to collect data to offer services. Levi's Stadium in the US, fully equipped with iBeacons and wireless LAN everywhere. And this is how most venues, congress centers, will look like in 10 years. Airports, everything. That's just an overview, not going into the details. You know that. We have one personal device, and that's the one thing, that's the smartphone. No one shares a smartphone. At least in Germany, also the car is not going to be shared. That's a super personal device for most people. And all those are becoming, let's say, partners in the programmatic ecosystem, where we need to go across devices and where we need to put relevant content based on a data management platform that really, really knows what people are doing, how they are segmented in all channels. And otherwise, if you continue to ignore your clients, at some point, they will start to ignore. Did I say ignore? If you ignore your clients, at some point, they will start to ignore you, and that's nothing any one of you really wants. And with that, Frank, you said that. That's my last slide. It's about combining data, creativity, and heart into awesome communication, into awesome owned, paid, and rented media, and not about data experts and old marketeers and classic marketeers and some strategists. You need to bring the people on one table. And now I can finally stand in the middle of the stage, try a last click, say thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, Frank, maybe now or later at the bar, which is opening now, I guess. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Jochen Schlosser.